All right, what I want to do here is talk a little bit about something called the spread syntax in JavaScript. So it's going to be these three dots here, and this is going to be really, really useful for you. So the spread syntax, the three dots, allows an iterable, such as an array expression or string, to be expanded in places where 0 or more arguments, okay, when they talk about arguments, therefore function calls, or elements, something for array literals, are expected. Or you can say an object expression to be expanded in places where 0 or more key value pairs for object literals are expected. Now, if I read that and you didn't understand any of it, it's fine. Basically, what the spread syntax is used for is when all elements from, let's say, an array or an object need to be included in a list of some kind. So with specifically when we talk about an array, this is basically where we're going to be allowed to unpack or individually grab all the elements of an array. So we're going to use this in places where we need the individual elements of an array, basically anywhere where we would use multiple values separated by commas, okay? So I want to show you one thing on this page really quickly. You'll see this here where it says the rest syntax. People often get these two confused. It's not something you want to do in a JavaScript interview. So the rest syntax looks exactly like the spread syntax. We've already seen the rest syntax when we worked with the destructuring. So in a way, the rest syntax is the opposite of the spread syntax. The spread syntax expands an array into its elements, while this rest syntax collects multiple elements and condenses them into a single element, okay? Let's go to VS Code and think about the spread syntax, and then I'll make a separate video for you on the rest syntax, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is just set up a little array. We'll see functions and objects later on. So I'm going to go const, and I'll do something like grades. So just 4 grades in here, something like 99, 100, let's do 65, and then 89. Okay, I'll give this a save. If I wanted to make a new array, okay, let's say that we had some more grades that got put in. So I'll do something like const, let's go grades 2, something like this. How would I get the individual elements from this guy right here, okay? So you don't want to put something like grades in here, okay, because this is going to give you a nested array, okay? We know that. But let's just go ahead and see it real quick. Let me put some new grades in here. So 94, let's go 87, and let's go 80, okay? Let me go ahead and console.log the grades2 array. And I want you to see that, again, in the first part, you're just going to have this array here. So it's going to have the square brackets. That's how you know you have an array. And then you'll have a comma, and then you have these 3 elements here. Okay, so let's pop this open. And let me go ahead and run this. And so you can see here that you have a nested array. Okay, and this is not what we want in most cases. So let's return and think about how we can fix this or how we can get something that's better. So the old way is I would use my square brackets, and I would reference pretty much every element individually, right? So grades with a square brackets and 0, and then you put grades with square brackets and 1, and then grades with square brackets and 2, and then grades with square brackets and 3. Okay, so that would be it. Now you could also use like a for loop or maybe like the for each method or something like that. But basically, let's pop this back open, and let's go ahead and clear this out and run it again. So now you see that you have the individual elements there. Okay, you don't have a nested array. But there's an easier way. So let me go ahead and do something like const grades 3, okay? And what I'm going to do is inside of here, I'm going to put my 3 dots, okay? That's my spread syntax. And then I'm going to reference the name of that array. So I'm going to do grades, okay? And what this is going to do is it's going to grab the elements individually, okay, and put them in. So it's just like I typed grades with 0, okay, inside of square brackets, then grades with 1 inside of square brackets, you know, so on and so forth. I'm grabbing 99, then 100, then 65, then 89, and I'm placing it inside of here. Okay, so I can just put my comma, 94, 80, or actually this was 87, and then 80, okay? So if I console.log the grades 3, you're going to see it's the exact same thing. It's just a quicker and easier way to do it, okay? So let's go ahead and pop open the terminal again, and let's run this guy. And again, you get the same exact result. So just an easier way to do the same thing. Now, one other thing I want to show you really quickly. Let's just get rid of this guy right here. We don't need it anymore. We've already proved our point. Let's put this to grades 2, and I'm just going to delete this as well. I'm going to console.log the grades 2, and then I'm going to copy this, and in front of this, I'm just going to put the 3 dots here, okay? So basically, inside of the console.log, we have spread this guy out. So all it's going to do is it's going to grab the individual elements, okay? And you're going to see this in the terminal basically as an output where we just have the individual elements. You're not going to see square brackets anymore, okay? So let's pop this back open. And let's run this guy. So you can see on the top from the original, us just console.logging the grades 2, you have your square brackets, right? You have your elements separated by commas. Then for this guy right here, you see that it basically unpacked this for you. It took each individual element and listed it here for you. There's no square brackets and no commas. Okay, let's go ahead and wipe this. And I want to start with a fresh example. We saw earlier in the course that we could use something like the concat method to combine two arrays. Let's just quickly revisit that. So we have const, let's go Jenny's colors, and let's just give her 4 colors. Let's say she likes blue. Let's say she likes green. Let's say that she likes, I don't know, yellow. And then lastly, let's say she likes purple. Okay, so those are her 4 colors. Let's go const, let's go Jack's colors, okay? And let's set this equal to, let's give him 4, so black. Let's maybe go orange, and then let's do teal, and then let's lastly do red. Okay, so those are his colors. And then let's do something like const all colors. Now, you could do this with concat, so you could start with like Jenny's colors, and then you could do the concat method to put Jack's colors on the end, or you could reverse that. Remember, the order does matter. So let's go Jenny's colors, and I'm going to go dot concat, and then I'm going to put Jack's colors inside the parentheses. And so we already know what that's going to do. But I'm also going to do another one. So let's go ahead and go const all colors. So another way to do this, I could just set up some square brackets to have an array. I can start by spreading out. So 3 dots here. Okay. And then I'm going to put Jenny's colors in there, comma, 3 dots, and then Jack's colors. So again, another way to do the same thing. And I put all colors here. I meant to put all colors 2. Okay. So let's put this down here and go console.log. And I'm going to go all colors. And then I'm going to go console.log. And I'm going to go all colors 2. And I'll show you it's the exact same thing. So let's pop the terminal back open and let's run this guy. And you see in each case you get the same thing. So you have the blue, the green, the yellow, and the purple. That was from Jenny. And then you have the black, the orange, the teal, and the red. That was from Jack, right? So the order does matter in how you do this. If you were to basically switch this up, so if you grab this one, let's say, and you cut it away and you put it here, okay, and you put your comma here, it's going to completely reverse things. So if we go back, and I messed up my bracket there, so let me put that back in. If we run this now, you'll see that the bottom one here, it's reversed, right? So you get Jack's colors first now, so black, orange, teal, and red. And then you get Jenny's colors last, so blue, green, yellow, and purple. Okay, let's wipe this out. And let me give you another example here. So we saw earlier in the course, again, that you could use slice or concat to make something called a shallow copy. And I haven't gone into detail on a shallow copy, but basically we can create a shallow copy with the spread syntax as well. So let's do something like const, I'll go Jack's food, and I'll set this equal to, I'll just have a few items. So chicken, and then maybe we'll do peas, and then let's say we do something like milk, and then let's say we do something like rice, okay? And then let's do something like const Beth's food, and let's just copy Jack's food. Okay, so most of you already know that there's going to be an issue here. If I change something, let's say I do Beth's food, let's say we put square brackets and 0. Instead of chicken, let's say she's maybe a vegetarian or something, and she wants the plant-based chicken. Okay, so something like that. Well, if I console.log, and I messed this up, so console.log, the Jack's food here, and then also if I console.log, the Beth's food here, Beth's food, okay, like this, what you're going to see is that in each position for the first position, instead of saying chicken, it's going to say plant-based chicken, right? We meant to just change Beth's food, but we ended up changing both of them. So let's pop open the terminal and let's run this guy. And you see in each case, you get the plant-based chicken as the first element. So in this case, one way to fix this is just to use, I'm just going to surround this guy with some brackets. And I missed my D here, so let me fix that. So let's delete that and put a D here. And I'm just going to use my spread syntax. I'm going to go ... okay? And basically what this is going to do is give me a shallow copy now, okay? So if I pop this back open and run this now, you see in the first array, the chicken is left alone. So Jack's food has been spared. He's still getting chicken, right? In the second array for Beth, we've just changed that to plant-based chicken for her because, again, she's a vegetarian. Now, what you can also do when you're building this guy, if you want for Beth food, maybe she wants a few other items. Maybe we put something like plant, let me spell this with a capital letter, so plant-based, maybe cheese, something like that. And maybe she also wants like pasta or something, okay? So you can go ahead and do that. So you're copying all the elements from Jack's food. So it's going to give me all the chicken, the peas, the milk, and the rice individually. Then I'm adding some other stuff in there, the plant-based cheese and the pasta. And again, you can still make changes here. So I can change this here. And then maybe I want to change the milk. So I can go Beth's food, okay, square brackets. And then I'm going to go 0, 1, I'm going to want 2. And let's say we want something like rice milk or almond milk or something like that. Maybe she doesn't drink regular milk, okay? So if we pop this back open and we run this, again, the first one is chicken, peas, milk, and rice. The second one, you see we made some changes, right? So we got the plant-based chicken instead of chicken. The peas stay the same. The milk became the rice milk. Then we have the rice, and then we added 2 more elements in there. Okay, let me quickly give you an example with some strings. This isn't entirely useful for us for right now, but it's something you should probably know. Let's say we do something like const first name, and we'll set this equal to, let's say, Megan. And then let's do const last name. We'll set this equal to just Smith or something like that. Let's say I do something like const name letters like this. I'm going to set this equal to, I'm going to put the 3 dots here. So my spread operator or spread syntax, however you want to say that. And then the first name, comma, the 3 dots, and then the last name, okay, like this. And if you want to go ahead and console.log the name letters, what it's going to do is give you an array, okay, where basically you have the M, then comma E, then comma G, then comma A, then comma N, you know, so on and so forth. So let's pop this open and let's run this guy, and you get the MEGANSMITH. If you wanted to use the spread operator again in here, so if you do ... here, what it's going to do is now give you those individual letters without square brackets or commas. So let's go ahead and run this and see you get the Megan Smith. Okay, let's go ahead and do some functions with this guy. I think this is pretty much the most useful thing for me, at least. So let's say you do something like function, we'll go sum numbers, okay? So you can put something like A, B, C, D, E in here. Now, in real life, you'd probably want to put some default values. So let's say I'm summing the numbers. I know that if I don't pass something in there, if I just put 0 as a default, okay, then that's not going to affect the answer, right? Because if I add 0 to something, it doesn't change it. So let me come over here and put my curly braces, and I'm just going to return A plus B plus C plus D plus E, okay? So let me come down here. I'm just going to go const numbers, and let's go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? If you leave 1 off when you pass this in, the 0 is just going to kick in, right? Because you have a default value there. Okay, so let's come down here, and let me call this function. So I'm going to go console.log. I'm going to go sum numbers, okay? And instead of having to pass in something like, you know, numbers, square brackets 0, and actually let's do it this way so you can see. So numbers, square brackets 1, and then numbers, square brackets 2, and then numbers, square brackets 3. And you see how tedious this is. Numbers, square brackets 4. Imagine if you had something really long. If I pop open the terminal and I run this guy, you get 15. If I was to add these, 1 plus 2 is 3, then plus 3 is 6, then plus 4 is 10, then plus 5 is 15. So that's as expected. But the easier way to do this, let me just kind of copy this and paste this in here. What I'm going to do is get rid of all this nonsense here, okay? And I'm basically going to come in here and go ... and then I'm just going to say numbers, right? So basically what it's going to do for me is it's going to grab each individual element here, okay? It's just like if I typed in console.log sum numbers 1, 2, 3. It's just like I'm typing it in just like this, right? It's just going to match that up exactly. So if I pop this open and run this guy, you get 15 in each case, right? So just a quicker way to do the same thing. Now, if you wanted some practice, let's just wipe this real quick. Let me write one other one. So let's go function, let's go multiply numbers. And again, I'll use the A, B, C, D, and E. And let me put some default values in here again, and I'll actually use them in this case, okay, just so you can see. When you multiply by 1, it leaves the number unchanged. So let me put the default value here as 1. So let's come down here. And let's set up our code block. And I'm just going to return A times B times C times D times E. Okay. So let me go const numbers. And let's set this equal to, at first I'll just do 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, I'm just going to console.log the multiply numbers. And inside here, I'm going to go ... and then numbers. Okay. So again, it's just like if I went up in here and typed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's grabbing these individual elements and spreading them in here for me. Okay. So let me pop this open and let's run this, and you get 120. Right? And that's because 1 times 2 is 2, then times 3 is 6, then times 4 is 24, then times 5 is 120. Now, if I get rid of, let's say, the 5 here, okay, then the default value for E is going to kick in. So 1 times 2 is 2, then times 3 is 6, then times 4 is 24, and then you're going to multiply by 1, so it's still going to be 24. So let me pop this open, and let's run this guy, and you get 24. as expected. Okay, for the last thing I want to do is just show you this with objects. And I know this is a bit long, but there's just so much to this. Let's make a simple little object. I'm going to go const Steve's car. And I'm going to set this equal to, let's just put some things in here that are descriptive about the car. Let's go maybe the make is a Honda. So a Honda, then maybe the model is like a Civic. Okay, so Civic. And then let's say the year is a 2021. And then let's say the color maybe is something like white. So I should capitalize that, I guess. And then let's say the miles per gallon, let's say it's 42. Let's say the price, let's say he paid, let me put this inside a quote. So I'll put 22,500, okay, dollars. And then basically, if I wanted to make a copy of this, I could do something like, let's say const Beth's car. Okay, so let's say I want the same properties in here. I'm just going to change a few of them around. So I'm just going to start with basically a copy of this. So I'm going to put equals, and then I'm going to put some curly braces here to set up an object. Let's put the 3 dots here, and let's go ahead and put Steve's car in there. So if you console.log the Beth's car right now, what you're going to get is a copy of this guy. Okay, so let me pop this open. And let's just see this real quick. So you see you just get a copy. If I wanted to, I could throw some extra stuff in here. So let's say maybe we'll want to notate the salesperson for her. So the salesperson, let's say the person was maybe Mary. Then maybe also we want to put the dealer in there for her. Let's say the dealer was something like City Honda. So City Honda, something like that. I mean, you can add stuff in just like we did with arrays. Let's say we want to change a few things up. So let's say for Beth, so we'll put Beth's car and we'll put dot color. Maybe she got blue instead of white. So let's say blue. And then let's also put another one in there. Let's say Beth's car dot price. Let's say she got a better deal. So she paid $21,400 instead. Okay. So we're console.logging Beth's car, but let's also console.log. Let's go with Steve's car as well. So let's put that in there so we can compare the two. So we're going to see that the color is going to change from white to blue. We're going to see the price is going to change from $22,500 to $21,400. And then additionally in Beth's car, she's going to have a salesperson of Mary and a dealer of City Honda. So let's pop this open and let's go ahead and run this guy. So you see up here, you have the first one. So he's got a Honda Civic 2021. It's white. It's getting 42 miles to the gallon. The price is $22,500. When we get to Beth's car, it's still a Honda Civic, year 2021, but now the color's changed to blue, same miles per gallon. The price is $21,400, but now we've added in a salesperson that's Mary and a dealer that's City Honda.